Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome again to the QSC booth, Club QSC at Winter NAMM 2015. Glad you could all join us here in the booth. And for everybody who's watching us on our webcast, again, thanks for tuning in. Our next guest, our next caper musician guest on the QSC stage is Mr. Bob Malone, who's a Los Angeles-based, yes, please give it up for Bob, LA-based keyboard player who describes his sound as a one-of-a-kind hybrid of rock, blues, and New Orleans R&B, delivered with a high-energy piano virtuosity. It's day 3 of NAMM, so please forgive me, and a voice all his own. He's toured extensively throughout the US, UK, Europe, Australia, and has played numerous dates at stops like the Glastonbury Music Festival, the Long Beach Bayou Fest, the Narooma Blues Fest in Australia, in addition to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, where he's played the legendary WWOZ Piano Night for 2 years running. Over the course of his musical career, he's played or opened with the likes of Bruce Springsteen, Ricky Lee Jones, the Neville Brothers, Reverend Al Green, Dr. John, list goes on and on. Currently, Bob is playing keyboards for rock legend John Fogerty and played on John's last album, Wrote a Song for Everyone, which is a collection of classic Fogerty tracks as well as some new material performed alongside with a variety of notable artists. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the QSC stage here at Winter NAMM 2015, Mr. Bob Malone.
I play? Okay.
Yes, sir. Bob Malone, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of housekeeping before we get going, Bob, if you'll allow me. For those of you that are here with us at Winter NAMM on the show floor, please step into the QSC booth. We got to get off the blue carpet. If you're watching on your computer or your iPad or whatever it is, you can step closer or move it closer to your face. You don't have to. But important, if you're here on the floor show with us, please step into the booth. So first of all, Bob, I want to say wow, and thank you for joining us here on the stage at our booth at Winter NAMM 2015.
I feel so much better
Um,
now.
first day at the show?
Second day. I was here yesterday.
Tell me a little bit about what you saw yesterday, thoughts about what's going on, what do you like about NAMM, all that good stuff.
Yesterday, I played at the Kurzweil booth, and about 5 minutes before I was supposed to go on, Stevie Wonder showed up. And he's like, I want to play. And I was like, well, dude, you know, I'm playing. No, I just... But if you want to open for me, you should talk to my people.
Very nice.
So anyway, Stevie played, a large crowd gathered, and it was amazing. And then he left, and then I played, and that was great. And then the news was there, so I ended up on the news from the thing. So I was standing in the right place at the right time yesterday. Well, so I had a great time at NAMM. I did that, and then I left.
Very nice.
It's perfect, yeah.
Are there things about coming to NAMM that sort of like appeal to you, things that you enjoy? Maybe it's looking at the gear, connecting with friends, stuff
yeah,
like
it's
that.
you know, I get to see everybody. I always say that all of my musician friends in LA I never see because we're all on the road. So that I get to see everyone here. And that's my favorite part. I like gear. I'm not a huge gear guy. You know, I like your gear, though.
God bless you.
It's
We'll
amazing,
talk about
yeah.
that in a second.
It's probably the wrong thing to say here, but
We'll
basically I like every keyboard I'm interested in was made before 1980. That's pretty much my taste in keyboards. So,
okay. Well, hey, we'll get into some of that in a little bit. I want to start though by asking you how you got into playing. Was it something that did it come naturally? Was it something that your parents encouraged you? Give us a little background there.
You know, no one was musical in my family, and but my parents wanted me to be a well-rounded middle-class kid, and they were like, you should take piano lessons. So when I was 9, I went off to take piano lessons, and for the first year, nothing really happened, and I showed no promise, and my mom was like, you can't just quit, so she'd make me practice 15 minutes a day. She'd watch me, because I only like to play if people were watching, pretty much like now, right? And then about 8 months into it, everything clicked, and all of a sudden I was like this, you know. And my teacher was like, I can't teach him anymore. I got to send him to a better teacher. So that's what happened. And I wanted to be a concert pianist, and then I got corrupted by rock and roll when I was about 14. And it's a good thing, because I would have been a terrible concert pianist.
So let me ask you then the next logical question, at least in my mind. 14, this sort of transition occurred. Did you always know that you wanted to be a professional musician?
Yeah, when I was 10, they had like, what is that, 4th grade or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And they had like career day. You went up onto the stage and said what you wanted to be, and everyone wanted to be a fireman or a princess or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to be a musician. And they were appalled. They were like, well, you can't do that. It was, they knew you weren't going to be a princess, but that seemed maybe possible that you could become a musician and ruin your life.
Okay. What about some of your early band days or your early performance days? Did you arguably be when you were 14, you were, rock and roll hit you? Did you do the high school band thing?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
15, 16, I had my first garage band, No bass player, because none of our friends played bass. So I played left-hand bass on a Fender Rhodes.
And what sort of, what did you do? What's little parties with friends? Tell us.
I don't know. We played like the junior high dance. We did that. We played this bar. The best story I have about that period is we got booked to play in this bar. It was in New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey, and we got booked to play this terrible
family show. That's all right.
This terrible bar, and so we show up at the gig, and there's another band on stage already. We get double booked. So the booking agent, we get on the phone with this guy. We were like a bunch of kids. We're 16. The one kid was 17. He had the driver's license. And so he got us into some other bar. So we drive down to this other terrible place, and we play, and we do the gig. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're on the way back home, and we drive past the place that we were supposed to have played, and it had burned to the ground.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a stroke of luck not getting that gig.
Yeah, things work out sometimes.
Yeah.
The professional. Let's talk about for a second about. Was there a moment when you sort of like, through all your playing, when you started getting gigs and moving up and improving in your skills, was there a moment that was sort of like an aha moment for you which says, wow, Bob Malone, I finally sort of made it as a musician.
I don't know if I had an aha. It's all happened so slowly, I've just been hammering away at it for years. And it's more like great things happen, and then after they've been going on for a while, I look up, and or usually I'll be complaining about it, and my wife will say, "You play piano for a living. Don't complain." And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty cool."
Yeah. Well, maybe how did you land the John
Fogerty?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was we had the same attorney, but my attorney's like a fan. He's been a fan for years. He does my stuff, and so he's always been looking out for me. So they call me up, and he calls me one day, says, "You might get a call from John Fogerty's people. They're looking for a new keyboard player." And then no one called. So I just went on with, because that's 99% of the time, no one calls, even though they say. So I just went on with my life and didn't think much about it. And 6 months later, I get this email out of the blue, "Hey, would you like to come down and audition with John?" So I went down to his garage and played some... And he wasn't even there. I played with like some other people they had set up to be the band. I was like, I am playing Creedence tunes in a garage. Like, who hasn't done this, Except it was John Fogerty's garage. So anyway, I got the gig, and I've had the gig for 4 years, almost 5 years now.
All right, very good. Let's talk for a second about your introduction to QSC, how you first came to be aware of QSC products. You're a fairly new member of the K for Musicians family.
Yeah, it's been about a year. I always knew about your stuff and loved it. And then I came by here at 2013. Bobby Kelly is a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he said, "Come by." So I met everybody, and I tried out the gear, and it was great. And then a year went by, and I heard out of the blue from you guys, and you said, "Hey, you want to be a QSC guy?" And I was like, "Yeah."
And so what's in your rig? What K or KW products?
I got a pair of K12s.
Okay.
And they sound great. The thing about playing keyboards is, you're playing piano especially, you need range. It doesn't sound good. I don't like keyboard amps. They just make everything sound like a Casio. No offense to Casio, if they're you know what I'm saying. So you need you need to hear what's coming out of the PA almost, So I got that out of those speakers. They're great that way. The piano sounds like a piano. It doesn't sound like a keyboard and when I use a real piano, it sounds like a real piano.
And then that's the rig you take out on the road. That's the rig when you're performing.
Yeah, whenever I can have it, I have it.
Okay.
Occasionally, I'll travel so far away that I can't have it.
Do you still have to carry any of your own gear, or do you got people that are helping you out with that stuff?
Depends on the gig.
Okay. How about when you have to carry your own gear? Has the size and the ability set up, has that helped you with setup time and things like that?
Oh yeah, I carry the K12s. They're I'm 49 now, so I think every piece of gear is heavy. It doesn't really matter how light it is. If I have to lift it at all, it's heavy, So and since Fogerty, I've had they deal with all my gear, which is like a B3 and all heavy vintage keyboards that I would never be able to lift myself. So now, once in a while, when I do have to lift something, I'm a total brat about it. I'm like, my God, I have to lift gear.
Well, very good. Hey, do you got time for one more tune for us?
Yeah, I always got time for one more
Ladies and
tune.
gentlemen, once again, Bob Malone.
my old friend, yeah. Just been me and you since way back when. I'm surrounded by people, people are everywhere. But the cold wind blows through me like there's no one there. It ain't personal if I don't know your face. I feel a certain distance from the whole human race. You can disconnect me from this time and place. I feel a certain distance from the whole human race. All right. Little girl, you want to take me in, yeah. Put that cage around me and I won't ever say I know you love me, but your love can never be. 'Cause I'll be tired of you before you're tired of me. It ain't personal if I don't know your face. I feel a certain distance from the whole human race. You can disconnect me from this time and place. I feel a certain distance from the whole human race. All right. You could spare me some. It seems like the whole world's problem just a distant hum. I appreciate your pain, baby, I really do. But I can't hear you once, honey, that's so yeah. It ain't personal if I don't know your face. I feel a certain distance from the whole human race. Certain distance from the whole human race. I feel a certain distance from the whole human race. All right.
Bob Malone, everybody. Bob's latest release, solo release, the Mojo Deluxe album, scheduled to be out this spring. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, and for more information on all things Bob Malone, be sure to check out his website, which is?
BobMalone.com.
How easy is that? So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Bob, thank you. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by QSA. And once again, Bob Malone, ladies and gentlemen.